Okay, so what we're about to go through isn't just a speech or some kind of symbolic gesture. Think of this as guidance for a really profound moment, when a Muslim is about to take the oath of allegiance to the United States. This is a point where two very serious traditions, American constitutional law and Islamic faith, actually meet.
And that brings us to the big question, right? For a Muslim who's becoming an American citizen, what does this oath really mean? Is it just words you have to say, or is it something deeper, something binding? How do you pledge allegiance to a country when your ultimate allegiance is to God? To figure that out, we have to look at where these two traditions find common ground.
You might think these two traditions would be in conflict, but in this moment, they actually connect. See, the American legal system is built on this idea of a covenant, a binding agreement. And Islam, it's a faith built on trust, on truth, and on the fact that you will be held accountable by God for every promise you make. Both traditions take an oath incredibly seriously.
This verse from the Quran really sets the foundation, and it is crystal clear. An oath, or a covenant, isn't just a bunch of words. It's a solemn promise that you will be asked about by God. There's a real spiritual weight to it, and there's no getting around that.
And this powerful saying from the Prophet Muhammad just builds right on top of that. The language here is so absolute. It directly ties keeping your promises to the very essence of your faith. Breaking a promise isn't just some small mistake. It's something that actually undermines your claim to having faith at all.
So here's the bottom line. In Islam, a covenant, which is called an ahd, is a morally binding promise. And breaking it isn't just a mistake or a legal issue, it's actually considered a sin. And this applies across the board, whether that promise is made to another Muslim, a non-Muslim, or even to a country. Betrayal is just not an option once you've given your word.
This slide does a fantastic job of clearing things up. On the left, you see what you are not doing. You're not changing your religion, you're not signing off on every single thing the government has ever done or will do, and you are definitely not giving up your faith. Now look at the right. What you are doing is entering a legal agreement, you're accepting the responsibilities that come with citizenship, and you're binding yourself to the rule of law.
And here's another fascinating place where things line up. The U.S. Constitution is smart about this. It gives you the option of an oath or an affirmation. Now that's not a loophole. That was put there on purpose to protect a person's conscience. From an Islamic point of view, this is perfect, because what really matters is the sincerity and the intention behind the promise, not the exact words you use. A sincere affirmation is every bit as binding.
So what does this covenant look like in day-to-day life as a citizen? Well, taking the oath doesn't mean you have to be silent, not at all. You can, and you should, criticize the government, protest peacefully, and dissent within the law. That's all part of the deal. But here's what you can't do. You can't engage in secret betrayal. You can't work behind the scenes to sabotage the very system you promised to support. That is the definition of deception.
Okay, but what if, down the line, a person feels they just can't honor that promise anymore? Well, Islam actually lays out a very clear and ethical path for that. It's a three-step process, and it's all about honesty. First, you have to renounce your pledge openly. Second, you leave the arrangement peacefully. And third, and most importantly, you do not deceive anyone. Lying and hiding your intentions are never okay. Honesty is the only path.
And this is what brings us to the whole idea of a Muslim civic oath. This is a personal affirmation, something meant to be taken after the official U.S. oath. The goal here isn't to replace the legal oath. It's to make it stronger, to turn it into a personal, spiritual commitment that you make before God. It takes a public act and makes it a deeply personal promise.
And here are the core principles behind that idea. This isn't about blind nationalism. It's about a much more thoughtful, responsible kind of citizenship. It's about justice that isn't biased. It's about loyalty to the law, not blind obedience to whoever is in power. It's about participating in society without being driven by hate. And it's about the right to disagree, but without trying to burn the whole system down.
This verse from the Quran is just so powerful when you think about it in a civic way. It's a direct command to be just, even to people you don't like or strongly disagree with. It puts justice above your own personal feelings and says that's what brings you closer to righteousness. I mean, what is a healthy country if not a constant effort to be more just?
And this brings us to a final, really serious warning about integrity. This well-known saying from the Prophet Muhammad points out the signs of a hypocrite. They lie, they break their promises, and they betray trust. Think about it. The act of taking an oath of allegiance touches on all three of these things. To say those words without meaning them is to embody the very traits that are so strongly condemned in Islam.
So the ultimate takeaway here is this.
An Islamic understanding of what a covenant means doesn't weaken the American oath of allegiance. It actually makes it stronger. It changes the oath from being a compromise of your faith into a powerful expression of your faith's deepest integrity. Why? Because a Muslim who truly understands the sacred nature of a promise does not betray.